so bothered about marks at the moment because what is important now is for you to learn from your mistakes. The test is a reflection of your efforts, of what you know and what you do not know. So make sure you make use of this valuable opportunity to learn so that you don't make the same mistakes again. Now question 1. Simplify each of the following, expressing your answers in positive index form. When they say it is in positive index form, we do not expect our final answer to have any negative powers. Okay, final answers will only be positive powers. Now let's take a look at the first one. It is as simple as this, 2 lines. You will not be expecting anything very complicated, very tedious for your exams and tests, because that's not the point. Okay, find the best way to do it. The first fraction over here has a square root sign. It covers, the square root symbol covers the entire fraction of p squared over 4q to the power 4. So this is now transformed to this, p over 2q squared. Okay, you square root every single thing. Now next, we've got a second fraction, the second term. We've got 2p times q to the power 3, and the entire thing is squared. So we remember that m a times b to the power of n is equals to a to the power n times b to the power of n. This is one of the laws we learned. So this power 2 goes to the number 2 to give us 4. The power 2 is also distributed to p to give us p squared. And finally, it is distributed to q to the power 3 to give us q to the power 6. And the next one, the entire complex term over here is power 0. So it is equivalent to simply 1. And there we have it, 2p cubed q to the power 4. How this is marked: every mistake you make, you will have 1 mark deducted up to a maximum of 2 marks. Okay, so I'm looking for 3 things: the number 2, p cubed, and q to the power 4. Next part, B. We've got 125 x power 6 divided by y to the power of negative 9. This entire fraction has a power of negative 1/3. So this is what we should recall. X over y to the power of n, for example, equals to x to the power of n divided by y to the power of n. It is the law that we'll be using. So in the numerator, I've got 125 x power 6. This power goes to the numerator. So we end up with 125 to the power of negative 1/3 x to the power of 6 to the power of negative 1/3 divided by y to the power of negative 9 to the power of negative 1/3. We can simplify this. 125 to the power of negative 1/3, you can use your calculator if you want to. If you don't want to, you can realize that it is simply 5 to the power of negative 1, because 125 is actually 5 to the power of 3. Okay, so if I want to write it this way, 5 to the power of 3, that's 125 to the power of negative 1/3. Then x to the power of 6 to the power of negative 1/3 is simply x to the power of 6 multiplied by negative 1/3 divided by y to the power of 9 times negative 9 times negative 1/3 gives me 3. Okay, so from here, 5 to the power of 3 times negative 1/3 is 5 to the power of negative 1. Then I've got x to the power of negative 2 divided by y to the power of 3. Now out of all of these, only one has a positive power. So this is where you need to employ the next law. A to the power of negative n is simply 1 over a to the power of n. That is how we convert what is in our numerator, plonk them into the denominator. 1 over 5 x squared y cubed. Okay, same thing. For every mistake, you will have 1 mark deducted up to a maximum of 2 marks. Now question 2a, evaluate and answer it in standard form. Okay, standard form. Standard form looks like this. A times 10 to the power of n. I'm quite lenient in the marking, but I cannot guarantee that this will happen for the next time you are being assessed. I want it to be A times 10 to the power of n, not 10 to the power of n times A. I do want this. Okay? Since they call it a standard form, there's a standard way of writing it, but mathematically they are the same. So I only want it in the red form. I'm also uncomfortable with this. Okay, I'm also uncomfortable with this. Okay, since they call it standard form, there is a standard way of writing it, which is used in the sciences. Okay, so the first one, now all this is simply a multiplication. 2.19 times 10 to the power of 2019. The bracket over here with a multiply is simply multiplied. 2.2 times 10 to the power of 2020. See, we're multiplying everything. The order does not matter. So what we can do is 2.19 times 2.2 times 10 to the power of 2019 times 10 to the power of 2020. We can all evaluate this with our calculators to give us 4.818. Yes?
There's a mistake after the call.
Yes. Okay, so the highlighted parts are the same. Do we need to round off 4.818 to 3SF?
No.
Why not?
The exact value.
Yeah, it's the exact value. There's no reason to round it off, right? So if you did round it off to 3SF, you will see me write at the side SF. Then at the top of your paper, you will see SF over here. Overall, I'll minus 1 mark. Okay, I don't want to penalize you too many times. Okay, so the next part. 10 to the power of 2019 times 10 to the power of 2020. This is the same as 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. There are so many of them. There are 19 of them. Then we multiply this by again 10 times 10 times dot 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 times 10. Over here we've got 20 of them. So total how many 10s are there? 2019 plus 2020. Okay, and that's how you get 4039. So 1 mark question. And now part B. This is when you should be factorizing. Factorize 10 with the highest power out. In this case, you'll be 10 to the power 2020. The moment you manage to do this correctly, you get 1 mark. The final answer, another 1 mark. Again, some of you tried to round off. I do not know why. There is no reason to round off. So don't keep making the same mistake. Stop the bad habit. Okay, next. Solve the following equations. Now here we have unknown. Where is the unknown? In the power. The unknown is in the power. So how many methods have you learned for solving equations with the unknown in the power? Only one method so far. And that is to make the bases all the same. Look at the numbers. We've got 2, we've got 8, we've got 16. What base do you think we should be using? 2, exactly. Change everything to base 2. You will get 1 mark. Okay, 2 stays as it is. I've got 1 over 8. 1 over 8 is the same as 2 to the power of negative 3. That's what we did. Power stays the same. We're not touching it yet. I just want to change everything to the same base. 16 becomes 2 to the power of 4. Everything is the same. Once you manage to do that, you get 1 mark. Now we just need to combine the powers. The easy one is on the right hand side of the equal sign. 4 times 4, we get 4 times y, you get 4y. 4 times 6, you get 24. That is on the right hand side. What about the left hand side? We've got negative 3 times 1. Negative 3 times negative 2y. How much is that? 6y minus 3, yes. So we still got the 2 over here, right? This 2 over here has a power of 1. So 6y minus 3 plus 1 to give us 6y minus 2. So now we see that the bases are the same. And this is the only way you have learned so far how to solve for unknowns in the powers. Make the bases the same and just compare the powers. Right? If these two are the same, the powers must be the same. So from here you will get y equals to 13. 3-mark question. Okay, and this is the mark distribution. Don't worry if you can't finish copying, it is going to be uploaded online. Next, part B. Okay, most of you managed to get the first part correct. You managed to change them all to the same denominator. You realize that z squared minus 9 is simply z plus 3, z minus 3. Okay, so no problem. You managed to reach this step. You managed to reach the final answer. Z equals to negative 3 or 1. However, almost everybody lost this answer mark because you did not reject z equals to negative 3. Okay, so why do we need to reject that? Why do you think we need to reject that? You see, wait, yes? Why? Yeah, you have to check back into the original equation. If I were to substitute this back inside here, I will have a division by 0, isn't it? That is why I have to reject it. Whereas there's no problem for this to be substituted anywhere. No problem. Okay? One more time. I'm not rejecting because it is a negative value. I'm rejecting because if it is substituted here, I will divide by 0, which cannot be the case. Next, question 4. Okay, completing a square. Express y equals to this expression into this form by completing the square. First mistake, not very common, but I still see it. Somebody let this be equal to 0. Why? Why should it be equal to 0? There is no reason for it to be equal to 0. Okay? Now, completing the square. Copy down the first two terms. Add in a certain value, which is the new coefficient of x divided by 2, and I square it. Coefficient of x is negative 5, so negative 5 divided by 2 squared. Since I'm adding it, I need to subtract it again so that it stays equal. Then I've got the remaining 7 at the end. Okay, so we see that these two steps are equivalent. I added something, I subtracted something. This gives you your 1 mark. What is the point of adding something and removing the same thing again? Because once I add it, the first 3 terms gives me my complete square, which is x minus, this is a minus sign, minus 5 over 2. Okay, some of you changed it to a plus. That is why I've always recommended for you to include this negative sign in the square term, to remind us that it is negative 5 over 2, not 5 over 2. Okay, so we've got the first term. Now, the second part will be your constants added together to give us 3 over 4. Some students forgot about this term. You totally ignored it and you ended up with 7 over here. Then obviously it's wrong. Okay? So here is our graph. I've told you to find the y-intercept, x-intercept, line of symmetry, and the turning point, the coordinates. Yes? Yes, yes. Okay. Yes, there is a negative over here. Okay, but mathematically it doesn't make a difference, because we're going to square it. Okay, so this is the parabola. It should be symmetrical. The minimum point should be labeled. There should be a label for the graph. Your axis should be labeled. The y-intercept should be shown, which is 7. So these are the things I'm looking for. 1 mistake, minus 1 mark. Maximum 2 marks for the graph. Moving on, last question. Now this one generally well done. The root A, time taken 120 over x, 115 over x minus 2. No problem for these two. If any mistake, it is due to carelessness. Okay, now part B. This is where we need to solve the problem sum. I told you the steps to go through to solve a problem sums. You must understand the question. You must have a let x be something. And in this case, they're very kind, they did it for you. So you can skip all those steps. The next part is to form an equation with the information given. And this is the key to answering the question. Root A will take 40 minutes less than root B. Which root takes more time? Which takes more time? Which one? A or B? B, right? Okay, so B. B takes more time. So time B minus time A must be equals to how long? 40 minutes. Does this make sense to you? Time B minus time A, the bigger time minus the smaller time, you must get the difference, which is 40 minutes. Now we need to convert this to in terms of our unknowns, which is x. So time B, we found it earlier, 115 over x minus 2, minus time A, 120 over x, equals to 40 minutes. 40 minutes, we need to change it to hours. Because in part A, part 1 and part 2, everything is in terms of hours. So 2/3 came from our 40 minutes. As long as you write this equation now, you get 1 mark. So once you manage to write this down, you didn't have a problem rearranging it in order to solve for x. Okay, so you did manage to get this equation, which is what they wanted you to show. Yes? Okay, show it to me later. Okay? Once you manage to show it, you get the final mark. So, part C. Calculate the time in hours and minutes that she expects to take on root B. You must show substitution. This is not a question that you can do by factorization. So what I can tell is that some of you did not memorize it. You did not memorize the formula. So you are unable to substitute it. Some of you tried to use completing a square, but you made careless mistakes. Some of you pretended that you could do factorization. You ended up with x minus 16.422 and x plus 21.922. You obviously got this information from your calculator. You were desperate. You were trying to tell me that somehow you managed to guess these two answers. I will give you 0 for this, because it is not possible for you to guess these two values, even though the answer is correct. And you got it right because you used your calculator. I've warned you before already. So showing the substitution gives you 1 mark. If you do not show the substitution, you do not get any mark. Okay, so we will end up with 2 answers, one of which is rejected because x stands for speed. X is for speed. Speed can only be positive. So the time taken for root B will be 115 divided by x minus 2. Okay, in our denominator, it will be x minus 2. 115 divided by x minus 2 over here. So some of you were careless. Divided by x. Some were worse. You thought that this was the final answer. No. Read the question carefully. Conversion to hours and minutes, generally alright. Okay? So this is the full 25 marks. Okay? Now, how many of you have issues with the marking? Raise your hand. I want you to circle in green pen the question number. And on the first page, write down the question number on top and hand your scripts to me at the end of the lesson. Okay? Count wrongly also just indicate on the front and pass it to me at the end of the lesson.